I feel inspired to talk about overfunctioning. Overfunctioning is when you'll be in a relationship with someone and you don't feel like they're doing their fair share. So you will encourage them to do it, delegate to them to do it, remind them to do it, or whatever that version is. So you don't let the other person just be themselves and fall on their face if they need to. You always step in to make sure that doesn't happen. And this happens to a lot of us who have grown up in trauma and are parentified children, always having to manage our parents' emotions, always having to take care of everybody. I think that we're really comfortable in the overfunctioning role, making sure that everyone is doing our idea of what the right thing is. Early on, overfunctioning is easier, and I think as the relationship goes on longer and longer, you start to realize, wow, I'm just doing everything. And for me, I tend to blame my partner. You never show up for me. You're not doing your fair share. I learned about overfunctioning from Harriet Lerner. I read her book. And when I read that book, I was in a narcissistic relationship. So on top of him never doing anything, him never showing up for me, and me being really angry with him, he was also gaslighting me, and there was a ton of abuse going on. So I had to learn how to hold him accountable and just operate in the facts. Because if I didn't, he would just gaslight me and tell me I was emotional and being crazy. So I learned to communicate super clearly. I also learned that my overfunctioning was about getting my needs met through making someone else do a behavior. And because I could never get the person to do that behavior, I was always unhappy. And the way that I shifted that was to start meeting my own needs. So I would communicate clearly to him, my car is not working, and you said that you could work on it. What day do you think that you can work on it this week? I can work on it on Thursday. Thursday passes, and he does not work on the car. I noticed that you did not work on the car on Thursday. So in order to meet my need, I'm going to take my car to the mechanic shop. No judgment. You said you were going to work on it on Thursday and you didn't. You didn't come through for me. Just a very simple, how will you collaborate with me? Here is the plan. I noticed that you didn't follow through with the plan. Here is how I am going to get my needs met. Or here is how I'm going to set a boundary because you did not follow through. It can be really painful to stop doing this because overfunctioning keeps me out of my anxiety. It keeps me focused on someone else. If I could just fix them, all my problems would be better. My needs would be met. When I stop overfunctioning for other people, I realize other people do a lot of things that bother me, and I would like to control them into not doing them. And instead of communicating what I need and trying to collaborate, I generally tend to just manipulate and get them to do the things that I want. Focusing on how other people are not meeting my needs keeps me in a constant cycle of not getting my needs met because I'm trying to meet my needs indirectly rather than just looking at what I need. And in relationships, this is really difficult because it's a mixture of two people meeting each other's needs sometimes and coming through for the other. And when we're an overfunctioner, we're more used to coming through for other people, not people coming through for us, because it's a vulnerable position to receive love and care. It's a much more invulnerable position to always be giving, to always be caretaking. And I think for me, at the root, I don't believe that I'm lovable or deserving of care. So of course, I always end up with people who don't really come through for me, and I feel like I do all the work and I have to prove myself to them for them to love me. But at the end of the day, overfunctioning is impinging on the autonomy of a person. It is holding someone to an expectation that may not be fair. And I think overall it is operating in fantasy, seeing someone as we would like them to be rather than interacting with who's right in front of you. And when I actually saw the man that I was in the narcissistic relationship with, when I let go of his potential and I let go of trying to make him better, I realized there was very little there for me, that most of what I was doing was a project to distract myself from my own emotions. And when I finally held him accountable, I was like, okay, go ahead and show up for me. And he didn't. And I was like, there is the evidence that you don't show up for me. You are currently not showing up even though you say that you do. I am going to use that information in order to make a positive decision for my well-being, which is to leave you.